This is the map breaking down election results you're probably used to seeing. But this is the map that truly breaks down how the election process works. These numbers represent how many electoral votes each state has. More on that in a minute. So what is the Electoral College?
And here's another look at the Electoral College as the numbers stand right now.
Election Day 2020. You probably remember hearing all this talk about the number 270. 270 is the number of electoral votes either President Donald Trump or challenger Joe Biden needs to grab in order to get to Washington. There are 538 Electoral College votes total, so 270 is just above the halfway mark.
Cast your votes for president and vice president.
The United States is the only country using this method, an Electoral College made up of delegates from each state to pick its head of state. Danielle Martin, associate professor of political science at Sacramento State University, says when Americans vote for president, they're actually voting for who their state will vote for.
So you really just have to keep in mind that it's this indirect system. It's not just a direct vote for president. You're actually casting your vote for an elector to represent you.
Each state is allotted a different number of electoral votes. It's based on the combined total of the state's delegates in the Senate and House of Representatives. The 23rd Amendment granted Washington, D.C. 3 electoral votes.
It corresponds directly to their representation in Congress, and that's determined by the population, which is determined with reapportionment every 10 years after the U.S. Census.
Since the electoral vote determines the winner, it's possible for someone to win the presidency without winning the popular vote. It's happened twice in the last 2 decades. George W. Bush in 2000 and President Donald Trump in 2016.
The reason that happens is because the candidate who wins the popular vote won by huge margins in some states, but then lost by just really close margins in other states, in swing states.
So if electoral votes are what chooses the president, does my vote even count?
Your vote still matters because it contributes to that overall popular vote, which determines who wins the state's electoral college votes.
48 out of 50 states have a winner-take-all system, meaning whoever gains the popular vote wins all of the state's electoral college votes. 2 states, Maine and Nebraska, allocate 2 electoral votes to the popular vote winner in the state and 1 electoral vote to the popular vote winner in each congressional district. Now, how does one become an elector?
The political parties are the ones who select their own electors, and how the parties decide how to select their electors is determined by the party itself, and that could also even vary by state.
Get this, electors aren't necessarily required to vote for their state's popular vote winner. Those are called faithless electors. Someone who casts their vote for a person other than who their state dictates who they should vote for.
But it's really rare. And some states, they even would cancel the votes of a faithless elector and replace that elector. And then some other states have legal penalties or fines for faithless electors.
There are arguments for and against the Electoral College system. In terms of keeping the Electoral College, supporters say discrepancies between the Electoral College and the public vote are relatively rare.
Although it's true that the swing states do receive more attention than they would otherwise if we had a different system, they also probably would argue that swing states often are fairly representative of the country as a whole. And if we had something different, like a direct national popular vote, then it would probably push presidential campaigns to spend more time and effort in the most populous cities or states, which would only shift the inequities of presidential campaign attention. It wouldn't necessarily solve the issue.
Making changes to the Electoral College would require a constitutional amendment. Brittany Johnson, KCRA 3 News.
And each state has until December 8th to settle on their electors, and then they have to certify the elections by December 14th, the day the Electoral College casts their votes for the presidential candidate they are pledged to.